You are listening to the Glenn Beck Radio Program podcast.
Do you run a small business? Do you want it to grow? Of course you do. Then don't let your business slow down or shut down because you lost your computer files. Get Carbonite and your files will be backed up to the cloud for you, automatically and continually. Plus, Carbonite lets you and your employees be more productive with free mobile apps that let you access, sync, and share your files. And Carbonite knows that in order to grow your business, you have to control costs. So no matter how many computers, servers, or external drives you have, Carbonite has an affordable plan for you. Start a free trial today at Carbonite.com with no credit card required. It really is a free trial. And when you use the offer code THEBLAZE, you'll get 2 free bonus months if you decide to buy. That's Carbonite.com. And the offer code for 2 free bonus months is THEBLAZE. Carbonite.com. Offer code THEBLAZE.
What you're about to hear is the fusion of entertainment and enlightenment. This is the Glenn Beck Program.
Man, I have to tell you, University of South Carolina has a textbook out where they describe what conservatives are and what conservatives believe, and I take umbrage with some of what they say. And the rest of it, I would have to ask the progressives, hang on just a second, help me out on something. You really you don't think people are lazy or bad? Okay, hang on just a second. Let me give you this. Conservatism is the philosophy that individuals are responsible for themselves. Government should provide minimal interference in people's lives, and change is generally unnecessary. No, that has nothing to do with it.
That's not a tenet of conservatism.
Who has ever said... Is there anybody that you know that was a Reagan guy or anybody that said, and you know what? We're not going to change.
Ever.
There's change is unnecessary. What are you talking about? Change is unnecessary. Well, then explain why we love the founding fathers and you don't. They were the ultimate changers. Tell me why Abraham Lincoln was the first Republican. Because wasn't he for a little bit of a change? Oh, all right. Popple and Leitninger emphasize 3 concepts that characterize conservatives. First, I'd like to know who Popple and Leitninger are, because they sound like guys who know.
Wait, the Popple and Leitninger?
Yeah.
No, it's not the Leitninger. It's a different
Leitninger.
It's Leitninger.
Oh, Leitninger?
Leitninger.
Okay. All right.
It's not that one, but it's
the
the other
one
one.
you know,
Okay.
Stu. It's the one you know because he has really defined conservatives and our movement. First, he says, conservatives usually oppose change and thrive on tradition. They believe that change usually produces more negative than positive consequences.
Oh, yeah, that's what we believe.
Well, Leitninger
nailed
it. He's got us. You got us there.
Dead to rights, man.
You got us there.
This is crushing analysis coming from Leitninger.
It really is. Yes, change usually, kids. That's why now you know why Daddy and Mommy never changed your diaper.
Mm-hmm.
It usually
leads to bad results.
Yeah, and Okay,
now
so
that
anyway.
was Lightning Burger's stance.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, I think, comes from Popple.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hang on. Okay. He says.
Because that was so Lightning Burger, that
It
first
was.
part.
Yeah.
Okay, so
you knew that, right?
Usually change. Okay, so hang on. Usually change produces more negative than positive consequences. Thus, they generally favor keeping things as they are. In other words, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Stop. Those are two different things. Yes. If it's not broke, don't fix it. I think everyone with a brain should be for that.
You know, I bet that's a constitutional reference because, yeah, as a rule, we don't want the Constitution fixed because, as a rule, it ain't broke. So don't fix it.
Well, no.
Leave it alone.
No, they're just talking about generally speaking. They believe that it produces more negative than positive consequences. Well, yes. For instance, healthcare was broken. Did we want to change it? Yes.
Yes.
Did we want to throw it all away?
No.
No. Okay. Second, conservatives tend to take a basically pessimistic view of human nature. Now, this is really important. Listen to this. Conservatives basically take a pessimistic view of human nature, that people are conceived as being corrupt. May I ask, are people in their natural state corrupt? Without any governors, without any rules, without any regulations, without any God, without any whatever it is, without any self-control, are people in their natural state corrupt?
Well, yes.
How dare you?
I know.
How dare you? Stu, are they?
I suppose in this question, yes.
Yes, their natural state.
Right.
Okay, so we basically have a pessimistic view of human nature. What is human nature? Human nature, what did our founders say? Human nature, when you have the chance to grab power and money, humans will generally grab it and screw everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
I mean, I think people are generally good, and I think
And we're not talking about people. We're talking about human nature.
Humans and people. That was my mistake.
We're talking about
I confused the two there.
read the book. Basically, pessimistic view of human nature.
Mm-hmm.
What is human nature?
Right.
Are we in the natural state?
Right,
Angels.
You want to start to do bad things, and then you hopefully control yourself by some governor. So yes, I would say if you're talking,
Natural
overall,
man is an enemy of God.
Yeah,
Natural man
Yes.
So
is
if
an
you
enemy
just
of
don't
God.
control yourself.
right.
You're gonna do bad
Natural
things.
man without any
In
governors.
a political context, I have a problem with that statement, but in a human nature context, I understand.
Yeah,
what
and
you're
that's
saying.
what he's talking
That's
about.
what
human
that's
nature.
what he wrote.
Right, but he's
Human
talking about
nature.
politics, which is why I think he's trying to go for something else.
People are conceived, really, are they? People are conceived as being corrupt. You know what? Tell me in our society that people aren't corrupt.
Oh, look what's going on.
Look what's going on. People in our society, when you talk about politics, if you want to throw it back into politics, yeah, okay. Are your neighbors corrupt? No, I hope not. I don't think so. I generally trust people too. But Stu, we're talking politics. You just said it. Are people in politics generally corrupt?
Well, that doesn't say people in politics.
No, it says people are conceived. Oh, so you want to have it both ways?
No, I don't. What I'm saying is what I think, and I'm not. I think this is. I'm sure I'm making a point you agree with, which is I think what he's trying to say is people can't control themselves, so they need the government. And I don't agree with that. People aren't self-centered, lazy, and incapable of true charity, which is what it goes on to say here. I think people, if you leave them mostly to their own devices, are going to create a damn good society, and that's what we've done here.
Here's the
Hold
difference.
on just a second. Wait a minute. You think he's trying to say that conservatives believe without the government, people will go bad, and so they need big government?
I'm saying they're making the point that it's bad that conservatives think this way because they think that you need something like God or something to be this overarching thing. And of course, I agree that you do need that. But I just think that they're trying to make the opposite political point, that they need to be there to help everybody.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Okay. People are conceived of being corrupt, self-centered, lazy, and incapable of true charity. The
That is
incapable of true charity. Now, let me just
Wow.
get through this. This is crazy because they're trying to make the point that they don't feel this way. They're trying to make us look evil. We're incapable of true charity. Okay. Conservatives, every study shows, conservatives are more charitable than progressives. Every study shows that.
By
far.
It's not even close.
Okay. We happen to believe in America where we take care of each other.
Mm-hmm.
The progressives believe that people are incapable of charity, and that's why taxes are charity to them. You have to have it taken away from you because you are incapable, and quite honestly, they are incapable. Most are incapable, unless it's an art. If it's an art museum, then they're pretty charitable. If it's a ballet, then they're pretty charitable. But when, generally speaking, when it comes to, hey, let's help the needy, they're not as charitable. Let's go help these people over, with this particular project and actually give, not get money from the state or anything else, but actually reach into your pocket and give. Conservatives beat them every time, but it's a landslide. It's a landslide. So we are the ones who believe that people are charitable. But here's what's really interesting. They say that conservatives believe people are corrupt, self-centered, and the one that everybody's focusing on here is lazy. Lazy. Oh yeah, they're lazy. Okay, let's look at this lazy thing for a second. Progressives are proving that they are the ones who believe people are lazy, because we're the ones that are saying, do your own homework. No, you should be the one that is a self-starter. You should be an entrepreneur. You should be able to pursue your own happiness. You should be able to start your own business. You should be able to go your own way, because we know people are not lazy. In the natural state, are people lazy? Well, let's ask Cass Sunstein, because isn't that the point of animal spirits? Isn't that the point of nudge? The point of nudge is you're so lazy that if they put the French fries out of arm's reach, you'll go for the carrots because you're like, I really want French fries. That's a long way to reach. Who's the one that thinks we're lazy, and who is making the entire country based on laziness? And I'm not talking about welfare or anything else. I'm talking about you're mentally lazy. That you just, you know what, you can't make it. You can't make it, so you're going to need me. You can't make it. You're so stupid. You're so lazy that you won't reach over the carrots to get the French fries. That's the whole point of nudge. That's the whole point of you're so stupid, you're so lazy that we will have the IRS just intimidate you and you'll give up. So tell me who's lazy. Tell me who actually believes that people are lazy. Tell me who actually believes that people are, when left entirely alone, we believe that people will find God and they'll find each other. And when they're left alone, they will bottom out, and so they will have to change their ways. And when they change their ways, they will own it. That's the whole thing, man. This is an ownership society. Progressivism, socialism, communism is not an ownership society. This is an ownership society. And I'm not talking about owning your own car or your own house. First of all, let's just stop there for a second. If somebody else owns your car, have you ever driven a rental car? And do you treat a rental car? You should. Do you treat a rental car exactly the way you treat your brand new car? Because you get into a rental car, they're pretty new, usually brand new. Do you drive that exactly the same way, or do you take a little bit more risk with it? Do you let's see what this engine can do? A little bit more than what you would do with your car. Do you treat it exactly the same way? You might, because you'll know you'll be penalized if there's a scratch, a ding, or anything else on it when you get it back. So, let's look at that for a second. Does ownership matter. Yes. If you're renting a house, do you care about that house as much as you do if you own that house? No. Let somebody else fix it. It's not my problem. If you were given that house, do you notice that the inner cities, these big 1960s social experiments that were based on the Soviet Union, have you seen what a death trap those things are? Why is that? Because there's no ownership there. We're an ownership society, but that's just things and stuff. Conservatives believe that we are really an ownership society. I own my mistakes. I own my mistakes. Own it. Own it. Whatever happened to you, own it. Oh, mommy used to beat me. Own it. What are you going to do about it? Own it. It's your deal. I'm an alcoholic. Own it. But on the flip side, we also, because we demand that you own your own mistakes and you own the things that have happened in your life, because we believe you are more than a collection of your experiences, because we actually believe in redemption, we also believe you have a right to own the good things in your life. Yes, Mr. President, I did build that. You weren't here. I had to have a team of attorneys that sat here and tried to sift through the laws to see what I could and couldn't do. You were an obstruction. I built this in spite of you. That's the difference. Which one do you want to be? Do you want to be somebody who is always given stuff or owns stuff? You want to live in a society where everybody is excusing everything until you just end up at the bottom of a pool of mediocrity at best? Or do you want to reach out of that slime, get out of that pool, and own it? Be who you really are. Be a man. Own it. Reach for something higher. That's who I am. I think that's who you are. And yes, people are corrupt. They are self-centered. Have you seen what our society is churning out? When there is no self-regulation, you have to have regulation because a society falls apart. We believe in self-regulation. And when there is no self-regulation, when you torpedo the churches, when you torpedo anything that helps people be better, and in their own way, I don't care what church, I don't care what synagogue, I don't care if you're atheist, if you're Penn Jillette and you found a system that makes you live a decent, honorable life, good, celebrate it. I'm going to help you. I'll help you and I will uphold and I will promote, because what you're doing helps the general welfare of our country. I will promote the general welfare. I won't tear it down. Because as we tear those things down, the general welfare of our people goes down. People are corrupt. And the more power they get, the more corrupt they become. But this is just the beginning of this textbook from South Carolina. You spending money in the University of South Carolina? Well, South Carolina, I really shouldn't probably say anything to you because you accept Lindsey Graham as your senator. This is the influence of the progressives in education. This is what they're teaching. And you know what? I'll bet you a lot of this textbook Lindsey Graham agrees with, because he's a progressive too. And what is it that progressives believe? They know better than you. They will teach you, because the little people don't have to really be listened to. We'll talk to them every 6 years for an election, but we're not going to really talk to them. We're just telling them because they're rubes. They're stupid. They're lazy. They'll go for the path of least resistance. Unless they have self-discipline. And when they have that, look out. Look out.
Glenn Beck.
Stimulate all your senses.
The Blaze.
.com/TV.
The Blaze Radio Network.
You're listening to the Glenn Beck Program.
Could somebody just take your child and accuse you of doing the wrong thing for your child medically, and then just take your child and basically kidnap them? The answer is yes. Yesterday, we talked to Justina's father on television. You need to hear his story. He'll be with us on radio coming up in just a few minutes. An incredible story. The first interview he has done, and one you need to hear. Coming up later on in the program.
The Glenn Beck Program.
The Blaze Radio Network.
Hi, it's Glenn Beck, and I want to thank you for supporting The Blaze. Because of your phone calls and emails, The Blaze has been added by many TV providers. But we can't stop now. The big media companies like DirecTV, Comcast, and Time Warner aren't listening. They think CNN, MSNBC, and Al Jazeera America are all you need. But we humbly disagree, and we think you do too. Visit gettheblaze.com and let your TV provider know that you want The Blaze in your home. Gettheblaze.com. Thanks.
Glenn Beck Program.
All right, so last night I had Lou Pellier on. Lou is the father of Justina Pellier, and Justina is this unbelievable 15-year-old girl that went up to Boston Children's Hospital and has been taken from the family. And we've been following it on the radio show and on the Blaze, and quite honestly, this is very much the Terry Schiavo case. This hospital is killing them. The state of Massachusetts is killing this girl because they don't want to admit that this is a real disease. And last night I had Lou on, and for anybody who says, you know what, there has to be something, I challenge you to watch this interview with the father. He looked so tired last night. During the break, what you didn't see was him trying to hold it together and him, asking me, is this okay? I just need people to listen. I mean, he was an incredible interview last night.
He seems, and I don't know him other than spending a couple of minutes with him, but he seems so normal and just so heartbroken, and he's got nowhere to turn. It's been over a year now, where his daughter's been held hostage by this hospital. When does this happen in America? I've never heard of this before.
No.
And he's just reaching out, trying everything, and I can't believe we've been talking about it for, 2 months?
And nothing has
2.5
happened.
months, and not a thing. They still have her held hostage.
Because the governor doesn't want to get involved, because the governor is beholden to Harvard, and Harvard and Boston Children's, that's the same organization. So imagine you think anybody in Boston, anybody in Massachusetts is going to take on Harvard and Children's Hospital? No. How many connections do they have? So they're not going to get involved in this. It's really going to be the people. If the people would rise up. So they have not been allowed to say anything by the court system. And I will tell you that there's a lot that I will tell you when Justina is either dead or when this is all over. But I'm telling you, this is a movie that will be made. This is one of the most incredible horror shows I've ever heard in American history, and there's a lot happening that the family won't even confirm, because the family is so afraid of the state, and they have threatened, we'll throw you in jail. But he has said now he has to say something because he's watching his daughter die. They are not giving her any medication. And here's the thing. They are saying that this is all nothing but, a mental disorder. Well, one of the main doctors at Boston's Children's Hospital, when he was in Hartford, or when he was at Tufts, he was the doctor that did all the procedures. And the other one was now the head of surgery, I think, at Boston Children's Hospital. So if these parents did something wrong to their daughter medically, their two doctors were the ones who did it. They're the doctors at Boston Children's Hospital. And so they took this child away and said, you know what? These people are basically Munchausen by proxy. Well, excuse me, your doctors, the ones that are here, that you hire, the ones that you say are new geniuses, they're the ones who did all the procedures. They're the ones who diagnosed it. And those two doctors are being kept away from the family.
It's interesting because when we first heard about this, we thought, okay, there's something. There's something here. There's something wrong with the family. The family's been doing something weird. We've looked into this every possible way, and there's nothing wrong here with the family. They didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, you really vouched for him yesterday in the interview, Glenn. I mean, you sat with the guy for, an hour? And I don't think I've ever heard you say, like, what you did was, like, I've sat with this guy for an hour, and I believe him. I mean, you really believe him.
Because I do.
And he seemed believable.
I was very nervous about meeting him because I thought, okay, am I going to find something out? I mean, our journalists have gone through this. Other journalists have gone through this, and quite honestly, other journalists in Boston who the newspapers have decided strangely not to print those stories. We've all gone through this family. Is this family warm and cuddly? No. You know why? You've kidnapped their daughter.
Oh, my gosh. They're much more warm and cuddly than I'd be at this point.
Oh, my gosh.
I can't even fathom it.
No,
I don't even know
either.
what kind of rash action I would have taken by now.
If
it's been a year.
Stu, you were watching it last night.
Yeah.
And when he was describing what was going on, he's going to be on the air with us in the 11 o'clock hour. And I want you to know, there's a lot of things that you can do to help, but one is even $5. Man, I am going to break up even talking about this. This family is broke. They're done. They have nothing. Because
they've been fighting this thing for a year.
They're completely gone. And he said the reason why they don't settle anything, the reason why they don't do any of this stuff is because they know you're fighting the state, you're fighting Harvard, you're fighting Boston Children's. He said they have enough money. They'll just crush anybody who stands against them. And he's like, we're done. He said, we have no money left.
So if you can help, is it freejustina.com?
It's freejustina.com. Freejustina.com. But I want to play a little bit of this interview that happened last night.
How about the idea that they are engaged in mental and physical abuse?
No doubt about it.
In what way?
I'll just go through a few of the examples. When she arrived at Boston Children's Hospital, she would have psychologists putting their nose in her face saying, why'd you have this tube placed into your stomach? How could you let them do that? They would not do her flushes for days at a week at or weeks at a time. We have no idea what damage has been done to her colon by the lack of proper treatment. They'd have her sit in the toilet for 2 or 3 hours at a time. You will go. The term they like to use is behavioral modification.
Oh my gosh.
So these fevers or any illness you have, it's all up in your head.
Oh my gosh.
So we're going to prove it to the nth degree at whatever cost it is, even if it's your life, to prove that Boston Children's were the...
But she has rapidly gone downhill.
Everybody's seen the videos. She was ice skating. She was in 3 different ice skating shows. In fact, on January 23rd, my mother-in-law, her grandmother...
And she went in on February 10th.
She went on February 10th. She skated for her grandmother that day. Then she got the flu, and again, the results were there.
And now how is she?
Now she's in a wheelchair, pretty much paralyzed below the waist, has almost no muscle control above the waist. Her hairline is receding, gum line's receding, showing malnutrition and everything else.
So how do you
She's scared out of her mind. She's alone. What is she saying to you? And what are you saying to her? We keep saying, hang in there. We're going to get you out. Hang in there. So she is the strongest human being in my life I've ever come across. I never would have thought of all my daughters that she'd be the one that would be my hero. She is my hero, and she needs to be this country's hero. She needs to change the way medicine can override people who've had a diagnosis to say what they have is in their head.
Okay.
There needs to be a law that's called the Justina law to end this.
It's,
Man, that's powerful.
what would you, I would just want to ask you, stop saying, okay, there's got to be something.
There's not.
There's not. And we've said it here, but we have the resources. Look, you subscribe to the Blaze so we can do these things. So I can hire journalists, and I can hire really good people who will look at these things. And we were just in a meeting today, and there's some things that we want to bring to you, but some of the sources aren't exactly right. And so we're like, okay, well, then we better not, we can't bring that to you. We really turn over every stone before we bring something to you. We try our hardest. We have looked at this one for, 6 months?
Long time.
And we keep going back over and over and over again. What have we missed? Nothing. There is nothing here. This is a family that has lost their daughter. Their other daughter has the same problem. The other daughter is with the family. The Department of Children and Families has been into their home. They have been in their home over and over and over again. You know how fast the state takes children away from abusive parents. When in doubt, take them away. Well, why is the other one there? The other one has the same disease. Why is it Munchausen with proxy on one, but not the other? Because it's not. It's a lie. And Boston Children's Hospital got their hand stuck in a bear trap, and now they can't get their hand out of there. They don't know what to do, because if they admit this mistake, then all of their research, look, they are trying to develop this new drug for this new disease that they can blame all these things on psychiatric problems. I'm a guy who has small fiber neuropathy, and there's a lot of people that have it. And usually it's caused by diabetes or something like that. And it's a constant tingling in the hands and the feet and everything else. I have a very rare version of it that causes it to feel like I am being stabbed all the time. Sometimes I feel like somebody has dropped a piano on my hand, and it is bone crushing. There are times that I feel like there is a rod that has been jammed into my leg. Sometimes small fiber neuropathy turns into, I was talking to my doctor one time, and he said, I just saw a patient, Glenn. He said, it manifests itself in her as if she stepped into one of those bed of nails that Indiana Jones, that first episode where those spikes come up and run through you. He said, any touch makes her feel like she has just stepped on one of those things, and the spikes have gone through her. And he said she was in the hospital, and we just, all we can do is medicate her. When he told me that story, I had been going to doctor after doctor after doctor. And when he told me that story and I finally saw him, I spent probably a half an hour or 45 minutes just crying, thanking him. Thank you. I thought I was going insane. Everybody said that this wasn't real. Well, I don't know. This is weird. I mean, yes, you have small fiber neuropathy, but it usually doesn't manifest. I know it doesn't usually do that, but I'm feeling it. What else is causing this? And there are times, Pat has seen it. Pat has seen it. When I travel, it gets bad. When it's cold, it gets bad. And Pat has seen it. Am I faking that, Pat?
Oh, no.
Absolutely
not.
It's beyond comprehension. But imagine you're 15 years old, and surgeons have gone in and taken part of your colon. They have done all of these things, and you've been sick for so long.
And you're away from your family.
And you are away from your family. You only have a phone call with mom and dad that's 20 minutes every week. 20 minutes. And somebody's monitoring that phone call, and they're in your face, and they're sending to your daughter. They are saying, why would you let your parents do this to you? America, please stand up. Please stand up for this child. Please. Please, I'm begging you. Share Justina's story. I've gone through this once before with Terry Schiavo. Please don't let this end the same way. This does affect you. It does. It will change. It will change the way the state can deal with you. You have a right. The child doesn't belong to the state or the hospital. The child belongs to me. It's my child. Go to freejustina.com. freejustina.com.
The Glenn Beck Program.
The Blaze Radio Network. On air, online, in your pocket. Find out all the ways to listen at theblaze.com/radio.
I tell you what Justina really needs is a few advocates. If there are some, there's the weasels in Hartford and the weasels in Boston are not going to help. Maybe there's a few phone calls we can make to, I don't know, doctors like Rand Paul that might help.
This is the Glenn Beck Program.
The Blaze Radio Network. What you're about to hear is the fusion of entertainment and enlightenment. This is the Glenn Beck Program.
So we have decided that we wanted to be able to highlight some of the candidates around the country that are really, truly winnable. And beyond winnable, they are candidates that are in the, cut from the cloth of Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, or Mike Lee. I have not met this man, but many of my friends and Freedom Works, Matt Kibbe, has compared him to Ted Cruz and Rand and Mike. He is running for Senate against the Democrat Kay Hagan in North Carolina. His name is Greg Brannon. Welcome to the program, Greg.
Oh, Mr. Beck, what an honor.
Thank you so
much.
Thank you. So you're an OBGYN. You have 7 children, so you know what's causing that. You're obviously a successful guy. Why would you ever go into politics?
Well, first off, I believe it's a servant citizen and not a politics, sir. You and I know I'm 53. I know you had your birthday. Our generation is going to pass on a less free America unless we stand. And I'm not going to look at my children's face in the honor of 9,000 babies I delivered, and 15 years from now they say, where were you in the fight for liberty? This is 1770s all over again. And I've had the honor of listening to you since, I think, 2002 when I heard you on XM for the first time. Wow. The Lee, the Cruz, the Pauls, that's our future of our country. It's just going back to our foundational core beliefs and who we are. And I'm not going to sit here on the sidelines. I was raised by a single mom who raised myself and my younger brother, and she said this country's phenomenal. It's not succeeding, Glenn. It's the opportunity to keep and get up every time we fail. and I'm not going to be silent in this battle.
So North Carolina was a red state until 2008. Kay Hagan was a big supporter of Obamacare. How's that working out for her now?
Not so well. And the thing about, I actually read Obamacare, H.R. 3590. I read Dodd-Frank. I believe in knowing how things work and why, and that's why I went back to this passion I had. I listened to you way back when you said, I actually have this letter now, where Jefferson wrote to his nephew, challenge everything. And we had to challenge this idea of who we really are. And led me to ask myself two questions. Who is sovereign, and what is a legitimate role of government? And both those are answered in the second paragraph of Jefferson's Declaration. We're made in God's image, so we're sovereign. We have inalienable rights from life, the moment of conception to natural passing, liberty with freedom and responsibility, and the pursuit of happiness. The very next sentence says what the legitimate role of government is, to protect, Glenn, your inalienable rights as individuals. We're given our consent, not to be ruled over, but to have the consent to govern, equal opportunity. That, in the moment they overstep those bounds, that is tyranny. And then Jefferson listed 20 things he said tyrannical. Our Constitution is actually, empowers those in the limit of the federal government. And everything I'm saying, I'm just pumped to be out here, but we have to make this Constitution what it means. That's what Washington challenged.
So how are you going to, Greg, how are you going to be able to, because you're speaking, you're singing songs to me right now, but I speak Thomas Jefferson. And so I relate to that. But most of the country, they don't care about Thomas Jefferson. 20-somethings don't care about Thomas Jefferson. And we have sold our rights away for security. We have sold our rights away for money or stuff. And most people will say, oh, please, it's not so bad. While we're losing the right to choose our doctors, while we're losing the right to pursue our happiness, we're losing our right to not be spied on by the IRS or by the NSA, losing our right to be innocent until proven guilty in a court of law with a jury of our peers. So how do you fight this?
Well, Glenn, I think you're actually knocking down all the great work you've done. I mean, I believe the Rand Pauls, the Mike Lees, the Ted Cruzes, if they were not there, I'd be more pessimistic. But since we've seen that move, the true Tea Party movement, I see it's actually going the other way around.
Wait. Before you go on, what is the true Tea Party movement? What do you mean by that?
The true Tea Party is constitutional to original intent, right? It is not trying to be surrupt for the established Republicans to make sure that that's all they vote for. The true intent of the Tea Party, the true intent of the Constitution is expressed clearly in the Ted Cruzes, the Mike Lees, the Rand Pauls. And we've been honored enough to be endorsed by Rand Paul and Freedom Works, which is an honor. So I think we have to go back to those documents. Now, taking this message, we've done this. I had a Tea Party group called Founders Truth. Last 5 years, we've been speaking around the state. And this message of liberty, individualism, is actually scaring Ms. Hagan and my opponent, Mr. Tillis, crazy, because these hyphen polls, I believe America's many won, as you do. But, we have 24% of African Americans voting for us on the polls, 20% of Hispanics. We are number 2 in women under Hagan and number 1 under the age of 28. This message of individualism and true American exceptionalism is scaring the progressive establishments to death, Glenn. I'm telling you, the work you've done, the work that the normal grassroots has done is scaring them to death. It truly is, quote unquote, a house of cards, and they see it. So and that's why my opponent, Mr. Tillis, is for private-public partnerships. He's for state exchanges. That's not republicanism.
No, that's the Republican Party.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you have a Republican Party that is going there, I mean, I truly believe that the Republicans will either change or they will go the way of the Whigs. I'm not afraid of a third party because I don't believe that there would be 3 parties left. The Republicans would just collapse because nobody's passionate about the Republicans. What people are passionate about is they don't want a third party. And the ones who are passionate about the GOP are the ones that are holding the power. And so that whole thing just collapses and goes away. Just like the communists supposedly did in the former Soviet Union. How do you go and change the Republican Party itself when the Republican Party is so damned?
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, the Whigs, the Federalists, they've messed up and they lost the actual true belief of who we are, and they went away. I believe what Reagan said was, why, when he was asked, why did you leave the Democratic Party? He says, no, they left me. I'm in the same position. I believe the party, the Vice Republican Party, it is Reagan and Goldwater and Taft and Coolidge. Just because the Boehners and McConnell are saying it other ways, this is exposing them. This is exposing who they are, which is great because the true rank-and-file Republican and conservative Democrats are liberty-loving constitutionalists. They're looking for men and women who will honor their oath in Article 6. We do that, the paradigm shift happens. So I'm optimistic in this because I've seen it. We've traveled about 88,000 miles as we're around the state. I'm still on call every day. I deliver about 20 babies a month, and I'm just being that servant citizen, but prepared. I mean, Glenn, you don't know what you've done by encouraging everybody to read, to challenge the status quo. Those kind of things have empowered. You feel, I was up there in August of 10. I was right to the right of the stage. I was there with that. I saw what was occurring. The establishment on both parties think they could control that or they're going to ridicule it. And they're going to lose because we, the people, are back. We're not going to settle for frauds. That's why the Senator Lees, the Senator Cruz, the Senator Pauls, the Masseys, the Amashes, the Becks, you see this thing happening. I'm not joking, because you had the Samuel Adams, you had the writers, you had the guys saying that, and then you had the men fighting it. You know, the names of Jefferson and Madison are great, but what about the nameless men and women that ran to Lexington and Concord? They ran to Bunker Hill. And how about their wives at home taking care of the family? No NEA. They educated themselves. They challenged, they asked questions, and God's grace was on them because they stood true to that. I mean, Glenn, we're having a 1770s all over again, and we're looking for who's real, and this is what's exciting.
So where do you stand? Where do you stand on immigration reform?
Immigration is simple. In the Constitution, Article 4, it's very clear: sovereign borders. Without sovereign borders, there's no sovereign country. We are built by legal immigration. Many won. That's the American culture.
But okay, Mr. Hader. How are you going to solve all those that are living in the shadows? And let me do what every media person ever does. What about Maria, who was brought here at no fault of her own?
That's right.
By parents who were just trying to.
She's been here all her life.
Been here all her life. Is she not an American, sir?
Yeah. One of my favorite papers on immigration was written by James Madison, 1800, report of 1800, where he's writing for President Jefferson, and he talking about immigration. And they were discussing back then, even if it's the blood of the mother, the blood of the father, or the blood of both. And they discussed it back in that ideas. But back to this. The responsibility of the child is the parent. The bottom line is we're built on legal immigration. And yes, we're going to be attacked on this. But as you know, you brought the NSA. They can collect all the data on our phone right now as we're speaking. We can find a way to see who was here, how they got here. They kind of go to the back of the line. Amnesty. Look what happened when Ronald Reagan and George H.W. did that. It destroyed California. The answer is no. We must stand firm to this. And the hater cracks me up. I mean, you said I had 7 children. I do know how it works.
Well, I mean, you can prevent that. I
have 6 girls and 1 boy. And, babies are great. But we've been very fortunate. The last 3 little girls we adopted from China. And, I understand what America is. I was born in Inglewood, California. Again, I understand this country's special because it is the many one. But it must be legal. I lived in Mexico for 2 years. I understand this idea of how about the ones that came here legally? They don't want this. We need sovereign borders, or we're not a sovereign country.
Well, the other reason,
bottom line.
The other thing about sovereign borders is, I mean, you don't, if you're not giving away free stuff, you'll see things slow down dramatically. You'll see things. I mean, we before the progressive era, we didn't really have, this kind of problem like we have now. People just generally find themselves, going where they go. And honestly, I don't mind immigrants. I think immigrants make us much, much stronger. So I want immigration. I want the people here, but you have to challenge me. And the reason why we're weak is because we don't feel challenged anymore. I want somebody competing, for my job and competing for what's going on. And come on, let's go. May the best man win.
I agree. And that's the idea about the model, many one, right? That I talk about an alloy, a single metal strong. You get multiple metals into an alloy, it's unbreakable. That's the American. When you talked about the Statue of Liberty with the chains being broken off, coming to us, we don't want feudalism again. Wow. We want individualism. Societies at its best, Glenn, when we have the opportunity to succeed and fail. That's the American exceptionalism, and I'm proud to be part of this.
I will tell you, Greg, that I don't think, besides Rand Paul, I don't think I've ever talked to a candidate that has quoted more or listened to the show or read the show more than you have, and I appreciate that. So that leads me to, what's the question I'm going to ask you?
How's my soul?
How is it? How is it?
How's my soul? Well, I'm in this because I'm a born-again Christian. I understand. I've been stabbed in the back by Christians as well. I understand that. But I feel this is a spiritual battle. Romans 12:9 is a verse that hits me on the heart. It says, hate evil, cling to good. But the first two words are the most important, Glenn, and this is how we change hearts. It says, in genuine love. We go to people that disagree with us. We go to them as Americans, as loving and kindness, and discuss these things. This is what we do. And we understand the federal government. We understand the state government. There are different dual federalisms. We walk them through this. I mean, Glenn, if we did not have what we had the last 10, 15 years, I would be, again, pessimistic. We take our founding principles. We messed up at the beginning because of pigment of skin, because of women's gender, but we show our problems. We go through those. We're the best republic the world's ever seen because we stood to those. We do those, Glenn. Our grandchildren will look back at us and thank us, or they're going to ridicule us. And I want to be on that front line with you.
So, Greg, according to the polls in North Carolina, it looks like your bigger task might be in the primary against Tills than it even is. I mean, you're already ahead of Hagan. Mm-hmm. So, what's the difference between you and Speaker Tills?
Very simple. He's backed by a guy named Karl Rove. McConnell and Boehner funded him.
Is he really?
Dear God.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. He will not debate us. He is for public-private partnerships. He's for toll roads. He's for everything. He calls himself conservative now, but he'll never come to a debate, never debate us. He believes the federal government supersedes on everything. And just look at his record. But I want to make something. We're running for something. We will show his record, and I hope he comes in debates. We're running for a job to be ambassador of our sovereign state as if there's no 17th Amendment. And you must understand that contract. And if you can't, you cannot lead.
I have to tell you, Greg, I've talked to a lot of politicians. I've talked to a lot of candidates, and it usually takes me a while to warm up to them before I trust them. You are so well read. You are so well thought out. I believe you. I mean, you are perhaps the best candidate I have ever talked to the first time out of the chute. I mean, you're amazing. Man. You're amazing.
Sir, I'm totally blown away and honored. I just believe liberty is so simple, and that's why I'm no Johnny-come-lately Common Core.
Are you horribly disfigured by an acid accident or anything? Because you should be running away with this.
We actually the numbers are tremendous, and when you look at all the internal stuff, that's why they're scared to death of us. That's why Reverend Al, tries to hammer us on MSNBC. We know the polls, and we're whooping their rear end, and it's exciting. And if they won't come for the fight, fine. They can attack me all they want. When they're done attacking, the only person getting attacked at Heinemann is me. And when they get done doing that, let's debate the issues. Because the issue is Common Core is an anathema. Agenda 21 is an anathema. Obamacare is an anathema. That's not America. That's why your new school system is booming. I got a patient of mine actually doing your curriculum. I've started a couple of schools, my wife and I. We actually homeschool now. I want to understand.
I love you. I have a man crush. I have a man crush on you. Greg, I have a man crush. You go anymore, I might start sending you candy.
Well, you know what? Cherry berries are fine. We'll take them. Oh
my God. Hey, guys.
But we actually obviously we need to raise money. We're raising good, but we actually got.
Well, how would somebody help? Is there
let me tell you this, guys. We got a webpage called Greg Brannon /Glenn. You go there and donate and give us the ammunition to take this war. But Greg Brannon /Glenn. Greg Brannon /Glenn. Let's do this and get the funds. But I'm really honored to be here, guys. I mean, I sat on my couch 5 years ago and said, what can I do? And the doors God have opened is My general consultant is Rand Pauls. My political director is deputy for Cruz. I have Brand and Freedom Works. Mike Church. I have Dudley Brown from National Association of Gun Rights. I mean, this is Ann Coulter. We got a team of liberty lovers.
All right.
That are saying no more.
Greg, I hope to talk to you again. I'm actually very I'm looking forward to shaking your hand and congratulating you on being the next good senator from North Carolina. Thank you so much, Greg.
My honor, sir. Thank you for your great work, man.
It's gregbrannon.com. gregbrannon.com. Sponsor. Whew, that was good. Sponsor is blinds.com. Blinds.com, shade, shutters, drapes, blinds, whatever you need. It's easy if you're a do-it-yourselfer. If you're not a do-it-yourselfer like me, it's also easy because you can order everything. They can install or you can install. Expert customer service, unmatched. In fact, Blinds.com asks every person that comes through the door, every single customer they have, what can we do to improve? Usually they are like this. Bill wrote, it wouldn't change a thing. My third purchase, and everybody, I mean everyone, is first rate. A problem is no problem. I'll be telling all of my friends, congratulations on establishing a reputable, courteous, and customer-centric business, Bill. This is the way it is. It's Blinds.com. I'm telling you, it's much less expensive than any place else. It is much easier than any place else. And your satisfaction is really more than guaranteed because it's just going to happen. Free color samples, free shipping, free expert advice. Now you can save 10 to 20% off selected window shades at Blinds.com. Where the prices will crush home improvement store prices. It's Blinds.com.
This is the Glenn Beck Program. The Blaze Radio Network.
So Doc Thompson is going to join us here in just a minute, just to say I told you so. But Doc is one of the guys who turned us on to him because Doc and Skip on Blaze Radio, they do mornings on Blaze Radio. They actually went across the country and started talking to some of these people, and some of them are crazy, and some are really good. And they've been talking about Greg Brannon for a while, and it's a Greg Brannon, BRANNON.com. And they've been talking about him for a while, but I want to talk to Doc about him because he's actually met with him and met with some other politicians that we as a nation should meet. There's something happening. You know, the seeds that were planted 5 years ago and the wake-up call, the clarion call of stand up, stand up. They are. We have some really good choices and some really good candidates this time around, maybe for the first time in my lifetime.
This is the Glenn Beck Program.
The Blaze Radio Network.
This is the Glenn Beck Program.
Oh, yeah. So we have the father on from, do you remember Justina, the little girl from Boston Children's Hospital? She was on with me last night, and really just a remarkable story. Just an incredible, incredible story. And you just think there's got to be something wrong. There's got to be something wrong. Well, you'll see yourself. Look at the interview that I did. It's up on the Blaze now with his dad. And if that doesn't move you into, I've got to stand up and I got to say something, because this isn't just about his daughter. This is about our children, all of our children. Does the state have the right to really, truly kidnap your child? I think no. He's going to be on with us in about 25 minutes. Let me go to Doc. Doc Thompson he does the Morning Blaze, and really he plays a minor part. Skip is really the glue that holds that together.
Oh, he's the driving force, clearly.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, sure. So, Doc, you went, and, Doc is one of my favorite employees, along with Skip, because these guys don't just sit around and wait for us to say, hey, here's what we're going to do. They just take it on. And one day I find out that these guys have taken, their own car and their own money and everything else, and they're just like, we're going to go across the country, and we're just going to meet all these candidates.
Mm-hmm.
And you did. How long were you on the road?
On the road just over 2 weeks. In total last year, we did 20 states. But in that tour, we did 11 stops and met with countless people. And I wouldn't steer you wrong. Greg Brannon is one of the ones I said, he stands out. Let's get him some attention. He's definitely one. Matt Bevin, when we met him right off, tremendous. These are
and those are the two really that we found to be just incredible candidates.
Yeah.
I mean, what an amazing thing it would be to add Greg Brannon and Matt Bevin to Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, and Mike Lee.
Oh, you're onto
something there. You
completely changed. It's not winning the Senate. It is changing the Senate entirely. It will be unlike any Senate we have ever had in the history of. No, I shouldn't say in my lifetime.
It's sending backup for the guys who are already doing the work.
Oh my gosh! No, not just backup. Really strong reinforcements.
Oh, yeah. Guys, we don't need to put 400 people in there. We need a couple of reinforcements to people like Cruz and Lee, and you're there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really remarkable.
You got Greg Brannon, who we met in North Carolina. We met him when we were speaking at an event, and then we had him on the air the next morning with us, and then we had him on a couple of weeks ago, and we spotlighted North Carolina on because every day we're spotlighting a different state to bring some non-establishment candidates to the attention and say, hey, if you like these guys, do your work, bet them some more, and if you still like them, tell people about them, maybe you send them a couple of dollars. Those two stood out, and then there's one other that really stands out, and that's Dave Bratt, who's challenging Eric Cantor for his seat out of Virginia. Dave Bratt is an economist at Randolph-Macon College, and he is sharp. He has, when it comes to amnesty, he laid out an entire argument of how amnesty actually hurts other countries as well. He can lay the entire thing out for you. He's brilliant. And Eric Cantor, I don't know if you know this, if John Boehner leaves and the Republicans stay control, Eric Cantor takes over the House.
Yeah, and he sucks. I mean,
wait, did you hear what Doc said?
Yeah.
Say it again, Doc.
If John Boehner leaves, Eric Cantor takes over the House. He is the heir apparent. John Boehner is weak. Eric Cantor is a snake.
Yeah, but did you hear what Pat said?
Eric Cantor sucks. I used to be
horrible.
And it's sad because in 07, 08, I thought Eric Cantor was the up-and-coming superstar of the conservative movement, and he turned out to be a total and complete fraud.
No, he's the up-and-coming mover of the GOP.
Yeah, and a progressive. And a big government guy.
They almost all are.
So many of them are. Yeah. It's great when you find one who isn't. So
that's why it's important to not call people liberal and conservative, but progressives, because they can say all the right things for conservatives, but are you a progressive? If you're a progressive, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't want a conservative controlling my life. I don't want a conservative jamming everything down our throats. It's like it's George W. Bush. This is the problem.
He's not a conservative.
These guys. Why did Barack Obama win? Because we wanted change. And everybody wanted change. Well, you want to change from what? The corruption? You want to change from a president just saying, you know what, I'm just going to sign this into action. We're just going to send these drones over here. We're just going to do these things. And yes, we use the NSA, and we're not going to spy in your library books. We're not going to see your library. No, it's much, much worse than that. And so we all wanted that to stop. Okay? That was a progressive thing. So they were doing it slightly. The Democrats get in and they're doing it to the nth degree. Well, wait a minute. Hang on just a second. This is not the direction either the Republicans or the Democrats. The average person, that they believe in freedom. So the average person has been sold out now by both of our parties. And it's not a liberal thing, because I can live next to a liberal. And as long as they're not a progressive, as long as they don't want to control me, and I can live next to a conservative, as long as they don't want to control me if I was a liberal. It's the control that matters.
So,
I was thinking, if only there was some way to hashtag defund the GOP and then give that money to people like Dave Bratt or Dr. Greg Brannon or Sam Clovis in Iowa.
So again, Doc, it's Dave Bratt, B-R-A-T.
That's B-R-A-T, Dave Bratt, B-R-A-T, for Congress.com. You can check that out.
Probably have.
And there's a guy running for Senate in Iowa you should check out too, Sam Clovis. It's Iowans and the number 4, samclovis.com. You check those two out, man, you're going to be happy.
I think this is amazing. So, Doc, you are really kind of, I mean, the nice thing about, because I get up in the morning and I turn on Blaze Radio and I'm listening to you guys, and it's really nice because we are developing a team that we all kind of work together, and everybody kind of takes a different a different angle on things, but we're all kind of talking about the same thing and all kind of moving in the same direction. It's really nice. And you are, you have gone out and you've vetted these. I have such a disinterest and a disdain for politicians. I just don't want to even talk to them. But it's been nice because you can hear, you're doing all the vetting, and you're doing this. You guys are doing this every day, with also a big sense of humor. By the way, ADD moment. What happened to what I missed the end of the Skip story today on the credit card. He was dealing with Wells Fargo, who said that he had canceled his credit card. He didn't cancel his credit card. All he wanted to know is who canceled my credit card, and how long did it last?
This went on for about a week, and they told him, first of all, that somebody canceled it at a mobile bank, which I didn't even know they had, but we got to the bottom of, they have mobile banks, I guess, for like natural disasters. They move it in. It turned out it wasn't that. They said that somebody went into a local branch somewhere. They still wouldn't tell them where. Finally came down to it after talking with many people, tweeting at him, emailing him, calling him, that no, the original card he lost months ago that he had canceled and got replaced, somebody found that and called in, and they said, oh, we'll cancel the new one now. And that was the end of it. But it took him a week and calls and emails and everything else to just get to the bottom of it.
Thank you very much, Doc. I appreciate it. And thank you for all of your hard work, and thanks for making my morning easier to get through in the morning.
And let's skip now. We're all concerned about
it. We're doing heavy lifting for you, man. We'll do it. We'll funnel it through us first, man. Iowa, don't forget, Iowa, Sam Clovis, and Dave Bratt in Virginia, man.
Yeah, I'm more interested in Skip's stories, to be perfectly honest.
It was a frustrating story because what I kept saying as I was listening to the story, what I kept saying was, somebody point out, please, Doc, point out that this is, the bank doesn't care, and they kind of care because they do have customers that will just go away, but not really. But once this is federal government, once they federalize things like health care, when that's your health care, they don't care at all. They'll give you the runaround all day long, and but you won't be able to go to anybody. You won't be able to stop it. I mean,
and you know that's the case, because why else would we have such a high unemployment rate and still there's so many dolts working when you're dealing with customer service?
Oh yeah, I mean when Wells Fargo begins to look like the training ground for the federal employee,
it's not
you're
a good
in
thing.
trouble.
Not a good thing. But the real issue with Skip is, of course, that he couldn't kick a 20-yard field goal. I mean, isn't that the real? That's so embarrassing. You know what? I have to admit, I thought for sure out of 3 kicks, he's got to get a 20-yard field goal is so easy.
He has a long history of failures. He really does.
It's really
well,
sad.
he works.
Really
he
sad.
works with you.
Yeah, that's.
I know exactly.
Right.
That's one of the things.
All right, Doc. Thanks a lot, Doc Thompson. Mornings on the Blaze Radio Network, which is all free, and you can stream it. And if you miss their shows, you can go to the podcast and listen to the podcast.
Also, Pat and Stu. You can do that with Pat and Stu as well.
Yeah, all of Blaze Radio. It's all free, and you can just listen to the podcast at your convenience, including this show. Just go to glennbeck.com/podcast. And you can listen to them at your leisure.
Speaking of credit card problems and scams, you might want to read your new Capital One contract really, really carefully.
Why?
They reserve the right now to contact their customers in any manner we choose. Quote, in any manner we choose, including phone, text, email, fax, or even a personal visit. The personal visits can be at your home and at your place of employment. What? No. It's according to the company's recent contract update. They sent a new update to their card holders.
These are things that you have to start reading these. We have to start reading.
They're getting
these.
worse and worse.
Yeah, because those are the things where I was just like, yeah, I accept. You got to start reading them, or we have to find there's got to be a service that reads these for you. You know, because what was it? If you read all of the things that you accepted, it would take 3 months out of the year to be able just to read them and understand them.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy amount of time.
According to the LA Times, the police need a court order to pull off something like that. Capital One doesn't.
Wow.
Well, if you agree to it, they certainly don't.
Right?
Yeah, no, you agreed to it. You agreed to it. So could somebody find Stu, ask somebody in a research department, I don't know which one, but ask them in a research department to find if there's a website that actually tells you what you have to watch out for in these agreements that you could go to and say, I'm signing up with Capital One. What does this say? Because just having that, then I would know. Okay,
it's crazy.
I need to not sign that agreement with Capital One.
The Glenn Beck program returns in minutes.
The Blaze Radio Network.
You're listening to the Glenn Beck program.
Oh, yes. Hello, and welcome to the program.
The broadcast.
So, the show. So, let me ask you this, Stu. How much sunshine did you shovel this morning?
Oh, it was brutal. It's got to get up to 79 here in Dallas today.
Saw that. Couldn't help but see that.
Yeah.
When it was 26 here in New York and snowing like a pig.
Yeah,
it snowed like a pig.
Like a pig? As in...
Yeah, like a pig.
I don't know how a pig would snow.
A lot.
Oh, pigs? You've never seen pigs snow? They say,
man.
Pigs have life. No.
They
pigs snow.
Yeah.
And when it snows like a pig.
It was colder than a pig, and it was snowing like a pig.
Yeah.
Of course, and then because, and I want to thank you for this, Glenn, for inviting me to New York later today.
I don't think I invited you.
You demanded I come to punish
only
me.
because you sassed back.
Yeah, shouldn't have sassed.
Yeah.
I don't think I sassed.
There's no sass.
I think you
There's
did.
No sassing. So
I think you did.
I tried to help a situation.
No,
it's beautiful, though.
believe
This is the 12th storm. The 12th winter storm.
Okay, you ready for this one? You ready for this one? There's no ice left in the area. I mean, sorry, there's no salt left in the area.
Yeah.
You know why there's no salt left in the area?
They used it all for one thing.
Yeah, but you can get more salt.
And this is great. I like this.
The salt is on a boat, I think in Portland, Maine. But the ship, it does not have an American flag on it. And there's an old law that says a ship cannot go from port to port without an American flag. And so it stopped in Maine to dump a lot of salt off.
And that's where it stayed.
And
now, they have circumvented that law for things like Katrina.
Yeah.
To get help from foreigners.
But the president, he's too busy signing other things into law. He can't make a quick exception to be able to actually help people get to work. Can't do that one. No. Right, no.
The Glenn Beck program.
The Blaze Radio Network.
What you're about to hear is the fusion of entertainment and enlightenment. This is the Glenn Beck Program.
We have been telling you about an absolutely incredible story, and I honestly don't know how long we had this on our things to talk about before we started to talk about it, because I didn't want to talk about it until we knew, because something is wrong. That's what I thought. Come on. This doesn't happen in America. It's the story of a young girl named Justina that lived in Connecticut that had some serious medical conditions, would been seen by her doctors at Tufts, had some surgeries, and then the doctor goes and gets a new job at Boston's Children's Hospital, and they arrange everything so she can go up because she has another bout with illness, and so they arrange it so she can go up and see that doctor. Well, when she gets up there, the doctor's blocked from seeing her because there's a neurologist that says, I think this is basically Munchausen by proxy. And it turned into a nightmare. And now their daughter is not getting any medical treatment. She's getting psychiatric treatment, and she is dying. The parents have not said anything because they have been warned by the court, and they also know if they say anything, it will be used against them. And so they're up against, it's David versus Goliath, except Goliath this time is Boston's Children's Hospital, Harvard University, and the state of Massachusetts. When you listen to Justina's father, Lou, he's with us here in New York. When you listen to him, I want you to see if he is reasonable, if he is rational, if you would be as in control as he is right now if this happened to your daughter. We bring this to you because this is not just about Justina. I have been in this fight before with Terry Schiavo. That one we lost. We might lose Justina.
And you know, this is different than Terry Schiavo because Terry Schiavo was supposedly in a vegetative state that whole time. Lou's daughter was not. She was ice skating January 23rd last year, was it, Lou?
That's correct.
She was reasonably healthy, and then she got the flu, and then you had to check her into the hospital, and then everything went south because they wouldn't treat her properly. So over the last year, her condition has deteriorated, so they're making the situation so much worse. So to me, this is even worse than Terry Schiavo's case.
So, Lou, welcome to the program again.
Glenn, thank you so much for having me.
Last night, I was a little nervous about meeting you. We didn't meet before we went on the air.
I've heard that before.
I know. I was a little nervous. Our reporters have been on this story for a while now, and we have checked and checked and checked and checked and checked and checked. And we have tried to figure out what the problem is, because there's got to be a problem.
It's America.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you've heard that before, Lou, a million times. This is the United States of America. My wife said this when I told her the story.
My wife said the same thing.
This can't happen. It's America still. I mean, I know Obama's president.
But
I know Massachusetts,
we're not monsters.
But we're not monsters. This is still America. So nobody can get their head around how this is possible other than to think, well, there's some extenuating circumstance with the family. Yeah.
Right.
So
my wife has said the exact same thing.
Yeah.
This is United States of America. How can this be happening?
Were you guys, like, at the beginning, did you flip out? Were you throwing things? Did you threaten anyone? What happened at the very beginning here when you were told? Because I probably would have.
I would have. I would have. You would have had to put me in handcuffs.
When you were told, I'm sorry, Mr. Pellier, you can't take your daughter.
It was mind-blowing. Having the police there who we called to say, look, this hospital is kidnapping my child. 3 detectives, it took a while to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But then they go speak to the Boston Children's people for a much longer period of time than they spoke to us.
Without you present.
You've called the FBI. You've had the FBI investigate.
Since March of last year.
Right. And so it's not like the hospital called the FBI to have him investigated.
Unreal.
He called the FBI and said, could you please investigate? They've kidnapped my child.
Again, thinking,
It's America.
Somebody's going to bring justice to this situation.
And so far, nobody has.
No one has.
You're up against titans. You're up against a hospital, Boston Children's. You're up against the state of Massachusetts. You are up against Harvard University, because that's Boston Children's. And you told me last night you believe the reason they have done this to your child is, and basically what they've explained, in case anybody doesn't know, explain what happened. Explain what they're doing.
The quick recap is we went to Boston Children's because her GI doctor, who was the medical director of GI at Tufts the month earlier, had left along with most of his team from Tufts to go to Boston Children's.
Okay, I want people to understand, in case you don't know what Tufts is. Tufts University, this is University Hospital. This is a very well-respected, and so the team of doctors that Justina had been seeing is at one of the best hospitals in the world, and they are being seen by this team. And in fact, this team is so good at what they do, Boston Children's hires that team. Now, what was that team responsible for doing, and how did they diagnose and how did they treat your daughter at Tufts?
The main issue came up with her motility, the ability to get food to be processed through her colon. And Dr. Flores is a world-renowned expert in motility. And one of the first things he did when Justina went to Tufts to be examined for it was he did a colonoscopy, roughly an 8-hour probe with electronic devices to measure her colon movement. And it showed point blank that she had neuropathy of the colon. Her colon was not working. So then the next step was, let's try to be conservative. Let's try different medications and see if we can get it working. But at some point, medications weren't going to be the answer. Then it became a surgical option. And from removing her colon entirely, which was the most aggressive, to the least aggressive was doing what's called putting in a cecostomy tube, which would be a port to the top of her colon with a little button, or they call it a Mickey, on the outside of her stomach that we could open up, connect a syringe to it, and flush her so she can go to the bathroom.
Okay, so so these doctors, this is not minor surgery. This is not outpatient. This is major surgery. And they had been working with her for how long?
She had been at Tufts for a year and a half.
Okay, so if indeed you or she were making this stuff up in her head, then the doctors at Tufts, which are now doctors at Boston Children's, should be sued for medical malpractice and unneeded and unwanted surgery. Should they not?
That's correct.
Okay. So these geniuses that were at Tufts and then hired to Boston Children's Hospital, when she's brought in, she's scheduled to see that team of doctors. But before that team, she comes in on a Sunday night, and before that team can see her, what happens?
4 a.m., my wife went with her in the ambulance. A young neurologist comes along, fresh out of residency, and point blankly says there's no such thing as mitochondrial disease. He doesn't come up immediately with what he thinks it is. He just says, we want to try a different approach. So instead of having her moved where she was supposed to the GI floor to see her main GI doctor, they move her to the neurology floor.
So the doctors that had gone from Tufts to Boston's Children
have not seen her.
Have not seen her ever now? Do they want to? Have you talked to them? What's going on with them?
They've seen her minimally. Probably the first time was over 8 months after her arrival. And then maybe one more time since then.
And when they first said, we want to try something new, you immediately said,
why not? Go ahead, go for it.
Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah.
If a doctor comes in and says, hey, I you know what? I think it might be misdiagnosed. Mm-hmm. I, as a parent, say, good. Yeah. So you're thinking that this is actually a good thing until about 4 days into it.
February 13th, which was the third day, we were having conference calls because I was at home in Connecticut. My wife was with Justina at the hospital. But the conference call didn't go well. We started hearing for the first time that they wanted to start taking her off her medications. And the two key medications that she was taking is she has tachycardia, rapid heart rate, metoprolol. They took her off that. Number two, because of the cecostomy tube, you're dealing with nerves that were cut, and when you have mitochondrial disease, your pain tolerance is much less. So they also put her on Lyrica. Boston Children's took her off that. But the kicker, which made no sense at all, was all mito patients are put on a vitamin cocktail. It's all individually designed per patient based on their needs, but things like coenzyme Q10, creatine, magnesium, L-carnitine, you name it, different things that are over the counter.
That she's not getting because she's not processing her food correctly.
That is correct.
Okay. Can I tell you something? I'm on Lyrica, and Lyrica seems to me to be like this crazy drug that you're like, okay, what is that going to do? I'm telling you because I have a nerve condition that causes great pain. If it wasn't for Lyrica, I don't know. I mean, Pat saw me before Lyrica. I don't know if I would be working today without Lyrica. So I can't imagine what your daughter is going through and the pain that she's in. Now, is she in pain today?
Tremendously.
Okay.
Nonstop.
So they're still not treating her for
No.
pain? They don't believe she's in pain?
No. Tell the story about how they now tell her to go to the bathroom and are trying to psychologically bully her into, you're mentally sick.
The head games that have been played on Justina are worse than any Stephen King novel. Things like having a psychologist put her nose right into the face of Justina and say, why would you let them put that port into your colon? There's nothing wrong with you. To going for days or weeks at a time, that's all been verified, where they would not do the flush. How about this? Justina, we're going to make you sit on the toilet for 2 or 3 hours. Because the only reason you're not going, it's in your head. You don't need this stinking cecostomy tube. You know what that did to her? Can you imagine?
It ripped her apart.
It ripped her apart.
And as they watch her deteriorate, they continue to do nothing for her.
She's in a wheelchair now.
How is that possible? And again, where are the doctors that were at Tufts that are now there? Are they protesting this treatment at all, or where do they stand?
They're blocked out. Bottom line.
Are they?
Tufts is, it's a big.
I'm going to help you out here.
Go for it.
Lou is not going to say some things that make things worse.
Yeah.
And so let's just move on. Let me have you explain this. A listener called today and they said, we called Boston Children's Hospital, and the Boston Children's Hospital said she's not even there anymore. So this whole thing is a lie. Explain where your daughter is now.
A little over a month ago, partly due to you, Glenn, and some other media, Bo Berman with Fox Connecticut.
He is amazing.
He's the man.
He's amazing.
He's the mini man. You're the big, you're the big man, but he's the mini man. But he's the first one that brought it public.
Yes.
I mean, I don't want to get bogged down, but another media organization sat on this story since April of last year.
Still has. If I'm not mistaken, this media organization, a very large media organization, did it, talk to you, talk to everybody, the reporter promised that it was going to go public, they were going to break this story open, and then mysteriously editors stepped in and said, no, we're just not going to report this story.
They finally did do it, but wasn't until December.
Okay.
Which was so far.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, where is she? A month ago, what happened?
So about a month ago, due to all the media pressure, public pressure, they moved her to what was considered to be a step-down unit, but it's a psychiatric residential facility in Framingham, Massachusetts.
Okay, again, hang on just a second. Understand, a loony ward, a psychiatric halfway house for people who have psychiatric problems. Your daughter is sick. She's in a wheelchair. They've been telling her. Can you imagine the mental trauma that she has gone through? They put her in a psychiatric ward in Framingham. Now, tell me about this psychiatric ward. Is this a place that provides medical services at all?
No. In fact,